Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, there are reports that the U.S. is clearly beefing up military assets in the Middle East and that Trump could launch sustained attacks on Iran within days, working in coordination, of course, with Israel. This would be a biggie. Apparently, Israel obviously is very much in touch with the United States. Netanyahu was just recently in Washington, D.C. And, of course, the Trump administration is having indirect discussions in Geneva with Iran. But many are saying that Iran is clearly not coming to the table with what they need to do to acquire a peaceful state, that they are not budging on getting rid of nuclear development, that they're not budging on ballistic missiles, just sort of delay. And as you can see, many military assets are heading into the Middle East. We know that already the USS Abraham Lincoln, big carrier groups already there. And we also know that the USS Gerald Ford is essentially almost there in theater. So that's a lot. Then you've got Israel. And then we have reports in just the last few hours that the U.S. is withdrawing forces from Syria. That's a very interesting move. In other words, get out of the region because something massive may be building. And we do not want any sort of retaliatory action that could be within striking range of Iran. That is a big, big step. And we saw things like that before when the U.S. was going after Iranian nuclear facilities. Remember when they went after those three, the Fordo facility and the other ones, back in June. Also, the U.S. State Department in the last hour or two telling Americans that are near and in Iran to get out. I would say they should have gotten out a long time ago, but definitely time is of the essence. There are reports that the amount of military buildup now in the region is even bigger than we have seen essentially since the end of the Iraq War. In other words, the last time this amount of armada and firepower was the start of the Iraq War. So that is some time ago, and it looks like the clock may be running out for Iran. What are your thoughts, guys, on this? Is it time to do it? Not just, obviously, for the people of Iran, but for freedom in the world. You think about all the proxies and so many different tentacles of terror that lead to Iran. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Meantime, also some big developments in the Nancy Guthrie case. Listen to this. Just a few hours ago, John Katsimatidis and I were talking to Nancy Grace, the great crime host, and she revealed that they are looking and trying to connect who was doing searches. Interestingly, soon before the abduction of Nancy Guthrie in Tucson, Arizona, who was searching for a home address of that. Also, her daughter, Savannah Guthrie, the co-host of the Today Show, her salary. Those are interesting things that somebody just happened to be looking online for. And could that very well be connected? Take a listen. This is what Nancy Grace shared with us about Nancy Guthrie.
Also, Rita, right now, Google data is showing that there were searches for Savannah Guthrie's mother's home and Savannah's salary just before the kidnapping.
Wow.
Now, that's amazing technology that Google has employed, but they are able to put in keywords and find this, and then they look for the IP address.
That could be very significant. And here's a little bit more about that from Nancy Grace.
Well, what we're hearing is about a week before, a little over a week before. Google Trends records show there was one search for Guthrie's address in Catalina foothills between June 21 and June 28, 2025. That address was searched again June 11. January 11. That same date, Jan 11, popped up in a message on the Ring camera. Feb 12, asking neighbors to share video. So a lot is happening as it relates to Google. As you recall, Google has been a huge help in this, and it is probably pursuant to a subpoena. Google can hand over information voluntarily, but it's likely pursuant to subpoena. And what I'm talking about is that door cam video. That was obtained from Google. Google owns Nest, which was Nancy Guthrie's home surveillance system. She did not have a subscription, which you need to get the video, but they, out of all the trillions of data points Google has, they found Nancy Guthrie's cam, and they uncovered a little bit of video from it. So Google is this amazing, amazing source of data. And we're also learning that Apple and Zuckerberg have offered their services in trying to find Nancy Guthrie. And that is a treasure trove of data.
Yeah, that definitely is. So this could be very interesting if they can determine who was doing those searches. And that date, by the way, the January 11th that she says was searched. Remember, Nancy Guthrie went missing February 1st. That was one of the dates that they asked neighbors in the area of Nancy Guthrie there in Arizona, hey, could you look at your Ring cam to see if somebody showed up? So they have clearly been zeroing in on this date. Did somebody do a search and then do a reconnaissance mission around the same time? Maybe they saw something in the neighborhood and then they went back and then they saw this Google search. We don't know the order of discovery, but it could be very significant. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222, and you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Matt in the Bronx on line 2. Go ahead, Matt, your thoughts tonight.
With regard to Iran and a possible military strike by the United States, I would want to say that it would be extremely disruptive on a number of fronts, and it's not in the national interest of the United States to attack Iran. On number one, militarily, Iran is not Iraq. Iran is not many of these other countries that we've actually gone to war with over the last 20 years. It has missile systems that can sink U.S. carriers and other U.S. ships and naval assets in the Persian Gulf. It has hypersonic missiles that are designed to attack shipping in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz exits the Persian Gulf, and about 25% of the world's oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz. So economically, if the Strait of Hormuz was shut down by Iran, it would precipitate a global economic recession, which would already impacted American consumers who are already hit by inflation. Try looking at oil at $200 a barrel instead of where it is now. And it would cause a whole detrimental knock-on effects economically to the United States.
But by the way, Matt, I hear you are making some very good points. It is a very different animal. You're right than some of these others. However, they're clearly going full steam ahead on nuclear development, and they keep kind of this delay tactic too as well. So look what happened last time when they sort of played the game with Trump. He got fed up, clearly, and then they went in and they struck those facilities, which was a remarkable move. Did you support that when that happened?
No, and I'll tell you why. Insofar as that the only reason why Iran, or Iraq or Libya or any of these other countries in the Middle East would want a nuclear arsenal is to countervail the illegal nuclear arsenal already possessed by Israel. They have at least 90 warheads that they're not supposed to have. By law, we're not supposed to be giving them foreign aid. We give the Israelis $4 billion in foreign aid.
Matt, all right, let me just ask you a question. I got to stop you right there. Couple things. You didn't think it was a good idea to stop their nuclear development. What? You seem to think they're only doing it because Israel has it, not for their own, diabolical schemes. You think it's okay for Iran to get a nuclear weapon? That's what you're saying.
That's not what I said.
Actually, it is what you said, Matt, because what you said was, hold on, Matt, what you said was, let me just ask you if this is correct. You said you didn't have a problem, you didn't like Trump going in and taking out the nuclear facilities. So the alternative is you keep them and they keep developing nuclear arsenal. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You believe that they're using it for peaceful means.
The alternative is that you continue dialogue with the Iranians and come to an agreement where not only Iran, but also every other state in the Middle East gives up their nuclear weapons program, including Israel, which has 90 nuclear warheads that it's not supposed to have by law. We're not supposed to be giving them $4 billion in foreign aid every year if they possess nuclear weapons. And they got that arsenal illegally by stealing uranium from the United States. I'm talking about the Israelis.
Yeah, no, I know you are, because you don't want to answer about Iran. I'm asking you, first of all, you clearly, obviously don't like Israel, but that's a whole other matter. But let's go back to Iran. Iran, let me just ask you, do you think it's okay for the Iranians, which clearly have a very bad track record in terms of the people they support, the proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, you can go on, and you think it's okay? They funded what happened on October 7th, and they have continued nuclear development. Almost any expert would have told you that it was maybe 1 to 3 months away when President Trump struck, and that was in June. They have since started up again, tried to go up again. They're trying to kind of have it halfway. They want to have it. They continue to say it's all for peaceful means. Do you really think that Iran is a peaceful broker? I mean, Matt, please wake up and tell me you don't think that they're just there, for peaceful means, that they want to do it like a Mother Teresa peace mission.
Iran's nuclear facilities right now are producing electricity for Iran. But if they have a weapons program, I am dead set against that.
Right, but they were close away. Wait, Matt, you can't wait till it's too late. You understand that? Matt, please, you cannot tell me that you think it's okay. You seem to be making apologies for Iran, and you seem to be against Israel. I'm not sure if you understand who the allies and the adversaries are in this part of the world. Do you?
Yeah, you call Israel an ally, a country that attacked our ship, the USS Liberty, killed 34 of our sailors, wounded 171 others, and try to blame it on Egypt during the Six-Day War to drag us into another country that they're opposed to politically. Again,
what about Iran? Let me ask you, because you clearly got it out for Israel, and Israel is definitely a very good ally. Do you have any idea how many tips and how much intelligence Israel shares with us, the Mossad and others? Do you honestly understand how much they have helped, and vice versa, by the way, obviously too. I'll give you that. But let's talk about Iran, because you seem to kind of want to go Israel bad, Iran not so bad. I mean, why do you think Iran has anything other than diabolical reasons why they want to build nuclear capabilities? And I guess when you have the leader of the country who says death to America, maybe we should believe him, Matt.
You know, as I pointed out before, the only reason why the Iranians want a nuclear weapon is to protect themselves against the illegal arsenal possessed by Israel.
Matt, I think you need to work for Iran because you're a really good puppet. You remind me of that guy Baghdad Bob. You know, that was that whole thing during the whole case with Iraq. Remember the guy who said, they're wonderful. Saddam Hussein is a great guy. I love him. I want to hang out with him. Everything's wonderful. That was Baghdad Bob. And it sounds like that's where you are today, Matt. I'm a little confused by it. But you know what? I'm happy to educate you anytime you'd like. Thank you, Matt. Boy, let's go to Robert in Brooklyn. Robert, real quick, give me some sanity after that one, Robert.
Well, first of all, you know, Matt is typically anti-Semite. He brings up the USS Liberty, which most people considered it was a mistake, but that was back in before I was born, like in 1967 or something like that. I mean, for that matter, why are we protecting Japan? Didn't they attack us in Pearl Harbor? Why do we have bases in Germany? Didn't we have World War II with Germany and World War I with Germany? So, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is the Israel, if they have nuclear arsenal, which they probably do, it's totally as a matter of self-defense.
That's what, and by the way, Robert, you're absolutely right. I would assume because they're in a really bad neighborhood that they desperately need that. Robert, stick with us because we got a hard break. I want to come back to you, but stick with us. We'll continue part 2 right after the break. 1-800-848-9222, and you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's continue with your calls, everybody. 1-800-848-9222. By the way, we'll be talking about this later on in the show. Wait till you hear how Mandani is thinking about saving some money. You've heard the lines about him wanting to increase taxes in a whole slew of ways. But there's also word that maybe he'll do some cuts. Guess where? At the NYPD. Yeah, I can't make this one up. Let's go to Robert in Brooklyn, back there on line 3. Robert, sorry about that. Go ahead.
5,000 NYPD officers. 5,000 NYPD
Yeah,
officers.
by the way, Robert,
Now,
can you believe that? I actually thought it was a joke, but it's serious that he is actually considering cutting 5,000 NYPD officers so he could have his free social experiment.
Now, Rita, just have to address Matt, okay? You can make an argument the only country in the world who should have nuclear weapons is Israel, the Jewish state, because my people throughout 1,000 years of history just recently have been subjected to pogroms, inquisitions. 6 million died in the Holocaust, including my family members. I lost members in the Holocaust. And you have a situation since 1948, even before 1948, where you had nations try to wipe the Jewish people out of Israel.
Yep, I agree. You're right. And it's a bad neighborhood. It's a very dangerous neighborhood. They're surrounded by people who want to eviscerate them. And guess what? Matt's making excuses for Iran?
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Nashville, Tennessee, where as soon as we celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary, we shine a spotlight on a group of Tennessee heroes who recently risked their lives to save a man who was ready to end his life. It happened just before 9 in the morning in East Tennessee, and a man had climbed the barricade of a rickety bridge that was long since closed. His plan was to jump to his death, but a team of dedicated police officers rushed to him just in time. He was almost gone when the two officers grabbed onto him as they held on desperately. A team of other officers who've been standing by a few hundred feet away rushed forward to help. You could hear on body camera footage with one of the officers saying, stay with me, stay with me. You are going to be okay. Stay with me. And you could tell that the officer was looking at his face and telling him to look directly into my eyes. He said, I could not let this individual lose it. I had to take care of him. I had to save this man who desperately needed help. Luckily, all 15 officers had a hand in this rescue, and as a collective force, they worked together to save this man's life. The officers said it was a mission completed. They were happy that the man was taken to the hospital and hopefully gets the help that he needs. And again, it was thanks to great teamwork to make a difference to save this very troubled man's life. Well, we are talking, of course, about everything going on. Zohran Mandani proposing cutting the NYPD budget, canceling 5,000 new officer hires, according to multiple reports, that's the plan. So he wants to save money for his crazy programs, and instead he wants to cut the NYPD because I guess he doesn't think they're really needed. I guess law enforcement isn't important. Maybe he wants to hire more social workers. And also we are talking about the Nancy Guthrie case as there's a whole bunch of new details on that. And also it looks like a major military buildup of U.S. and Israeli military might getting ready. And there are reports that the U.S. may take some very major action against Iran in a matter of days to a matter of weeks, but it could be very imminent. As we know, President Trump loves the element of surprise. And here is J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, talking about Iran, a country that Matt says is not so bad.
If you go back to the campaign that he ran in 2015, the Republican primary campaign that he won, he said Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I think it's very important for the American people to appreciate it's one of the most hostile and also one of the most irrational regimes in the world. You can't have people like that have the most dangerous weapon known to man. It would be awful for our security. It would be awful for the future of our children. That is the goal of the President of the United States, and he's got a lot of options and a lot of tools to make sure that doesn't happen.
And Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, also said today during the White House briefing that Iran clearly is on the mind of President Trump. But she also said he will always resort to talk, to negotiations, and that military action is a last resort.
The president has always been very clear, though, with respect to Iran or any country around the world, diplomacy is always his first option, and Iran would be very wise to make a deal with President Trump and with this administration. He's talking to many people, of course, his national security team, first and foremost, and you know who the members of that team are. And this is something, obviously, the president takes seriously. He's always thinking about what's in the best interests of the United States of America, of our military, of the American people, and that's how he makes decisions with respect to military action of any kind.
And let's continue with your calls, guys. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Norm in Brooklyn, line 4. Go ahead, Norm. Your thoughts tonight.
Yeah, hi, Rita. Okay, I absolutely trust our president's decision with regard to Iran.
But hang on. Wait. Norm, hold on. You can't go on a soliloquy. You just got to hear this first. Sure. My question to you is he hasn't really made a decision, you think? I mean, people who know Trump believe that he goes by, obviously, his instincts. I think he is still hoping that Iran comes to the table. He's amassing this armada there in case they don't, because likely they don't. But I also think he's still up until the 11th hour hoping that maybe some deal's going to happen. But I think obviously it's not looking good. It's looking bleak. So that's why he's adding firepower.
Okay. I trust this administration's instincts, not to do anything rash. But if we do go in, I support it. I'm not an isolationist like Matt, okay, who if you left it up to him, we'd only be 48 states. And, we never would have entered World War II. And so, therefore, I'd be dead. So, I would never have come into existence because my parents came here because of World War II. My mother did. So, I just...
what about World War II coming to us in Pearl Harbor?
Yeah,
come on.
That's true.
That's true. I would say suddenly it wasn't a sunny day there in Hawaii, what they did.
No. I'm just saying that it's we're a big player in the world, and we just can't turn our backs when a nation kills like 40,000 of its own people, and it's just for the stability of the regime of the administration. I mean, I believe in regime change. I think that's what the Iranians want, and I support them on that.
So let me ask you, Norm. Hold on one second, because you hit a lot of good points there. First, on the regime change, do you believe that if the Trump administration goes in, do you believe that they will try to create regime change, or do you think they hope it will happen from within, that they've got enough sort of high-level assets within Iran, per se, like, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps and those kind of folks who are, the military arm there, that they would hopefully maybe create change, that maybe they see an opening and they see where they could be in power, but be a much, obviously a much, not be a ruthless force like they clearly have been under the mullahs.
I think the Persian people are tired of this ruthless totalitarian state. I think we need to support those elements there, if need be, especially after the mass murder that they committed. We need to throw them out. We need to assist them in throwing them out. The time has come. It should have come under Obama, and now that opportunity arises again. And this administration has supported world terrorism. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of this. I mean, they could have been the damn Paris of the Mideast.
Absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and now I mean, what do they make? What do they? What does Iran, other than death and destruction, what do they contribute to the world? Okay, this is my opinion at this point. I mean, this administration has taken them back to the Middle Ages. Okay, and I think if you meet Persian people, I mean, I've had my share of them.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I have a number of Persian friends, and I hear exactly what you're saying, that it's a very sophisticated society. And they are begging for freedom. They're just under the fist of the mullahs. You hit a very important point. I brought this up with Matt. Matt, of course, didn't want to hear it. Matt, the fact that they are the tentacles, like you just said. When you think of Iran, I think of Hezbollah. I think of Hamas. I think of the Houthis. I think of so much destruction. And that is not just carried over to against Israel. That's against so many people in the freedom-loving world. It's against Americans, too. I mean, Iran has done some major activity, Hezbollah against Americans, too, through the years. It's not an isolated, Matt seems to think, well, they're just a little upset about Israel and that's it. When they're in the streets, they're chanting death to Israel, death to America. They view us as the, quote, big Satan. Like, I mean, I don't know if how it could be more clear to Matt. What do you think, Norm?
Well, Matt is viewing the world that the Jews are behind everything. He hates the Jews. He thinks the Jews control everything. We're all Rothschilds. Okay. We're all, controlling everything around him. Okay. He's seeing everywhere he's seeing a wicked Jew. Okay. So his view of the world is colored with that. All he does, Matt, is he reads the little Protocols of Elders of Zion and all these books that he buys from that little whatever library, whatever, that bookstore that he keeps promoting, which sells nothing but Nazi books. Okay. He sits in his basement. Okay. And he calls up with his little, neo-Nazi theories. And, but do you know the issue? And obviously I did not like that either, Norm. I'm 100%, you know how I feel about that. But also then he took it a step further and he was almost like apologizing for Iran. Yeah. Yeah. That's a new one, right, Norm? Is he not that? Does he need to open his eyes and just look at a history of the world and go, oh well, maybe Iran played a role in this, maybe Iran played a role in that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't see that. All he sees is this. In my opinion, he probably believes that the Israelis are behind Iran. Okay, he sees the ultimate evil is coming down to the Jew. Okay, the Jew is behind everything, behind World War II, behind everything. We did everything. We made Hitler, and Hitler killed us. Okay, he believes everything is the wicked Jew. Okay, and you can't change people like that. Okay, he'll throw all these figures. He brings up this one incident exactly decades ago. And that was incredible. Well, Norm, I'm glad that you brought a little bit of sense of reality here and a little bit of common sense. Because I appreciate it. Norm, it's always good to hear from you. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania, line 3. Go ahead, Joaquin. Your thoughts tonight. What an interesting night it's been so far.
Rita, I got to tip my Stetson to you. That was really good. Baghdad Bob.
Yeah, didn't he sound just like Baghdad Bob? Matt is the new Baghdad Bob. That's my new declaration for the night.
Look, something. The thing of it is that in many things, Matt is obviously very well educated. Yeah, and by the way, I will never call somebody stupid. But he clearly is stilted. He has an agenda.
He has an agenda. Boy, does he have an agenda. Boy, oh boy, I see that.
I did not get that book he talked about, but I read up on it. And some of the theories that they have in there, that they hold water, but you don't have to blame it on the Jews, just because there are certain, elites in this world that happen to be Jewish, that are maybe behind a lot of things that are going on. And as far as liberty, last time he brought this up, we had a conversation. I looked into the liberty. They could very well have accidentally done it because you're talking about massive confusion. And you had people on the deck of the Liberty waving the flag. And I know I read that many of the sailors that were injured or killed, and those who were left, they, of course, have, they have bad feelings about the whole thing.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, I don't want to rehash that, but that is 100% correct. But let's take it to modern times, Joaquin. What needs to happen now?
Right, of course. But the foundation of the Israeli Air Force was many World War II veterans who happened to have been American Jews and British Jews. Okay, Pee Wee Herman's father was actually one of the original founders of that Air Force. So, to go back to that.
That's interesting. Right, now, I didn't know that. Thank you. That's interesting to know. Yeah. So now let's go to today.
Yeah. Okay, the only thing that I really find a little fault with the administration is that they did not, do anything to try and help arm these Iranian people in this uprising, because when you're hearing numbers of tens of thousands of them being slaughtered, and basically, of course, in all these tyrannical countries, and that's why we protect our Second Amendment, they don't have the weapons to defend themselves, and so they're being massacred in hopes to be able to quell it. So, and
by the way, Joaquin, when I hear these reports, it's horrible. I mean, let's take it one step further, and you're right. The only problem is that is a very difficult thing to do, bring in arms, because they're still sort of outnumbered unless there's some sort of military action coming from the very top. And unless you have somebody who's on sort of a suicide pact to get rid of the mullahs, anything short of that, they're still going to outnumber you while the mullahs are in control. So it's not to justify, because I do wish there was more being done. It is so heartbreaking. And one of the stories that I heard, Joaquin, too, that just it just ripped my gut to hear this, that they're actually these ruthless killers are literally going from hospital beds to hospital beds, finding protesters who've been injured and killing them while they're in their hospital beds because they obviously can't run away. And also torturing people in hospitals, saying, hey, who do you have in the hospital? Do you have any protesters? Tell me who they are so we can target them. I mean, these people have no soul. I mean, it's horrific. So whatever happens to them, they deserve every bit of it. Right, Joaquin?
Exactly. And also, too, when you're talking about an enemy like that, and let's face it, the hardcore reality of it is that, you're dealing with fundamentalist Islam, and I mean, I have my own views on that, and unfortunately, you can't trust them, and they're out to destroy us. And if they have those type of weapons that Matt was talking about, now would be the time to deal with it and to get rid of them, and to get rid of the regime that has those weapons that can be used against us.
Yeah, that is a complete naivete by Matt to sit there and say, "Oh, they only want it for defensive measures." Are you kidding me? I mean, that's like, I guess they're misunderstood when they're supporting Hamas. I guess they're misunderstood when they're, supporting Hezbollah and the Houthis and all these horrible things that have happened throughout the globe and the destabilization. They're just nice, sweet people that are misunderstood. That's where Matt was coming from, Joaquin, which was shocking. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind, and I don't think any rational person has any doubt in their mind, that if these individuals, if the mullahs are able to obtain nuclear weapons, they're going to use it. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
They are absolutely going to use it. And if you had a chance, if somebody said to you, okay, you have a month or 2 months to stop, literally the worst of the worst getting nuclear weapons, I can't think of any rational person who would say, no, I'm not going to do that. And I applaud President Trump for taking the actions that he did in June. And I applaud the fact that he hasn't been hasty. Even to Norm's point, Norm brought up, he actually has been very thoughtful, President Trump. He's not rushing. I think he keeps hoping they're going to finally, he's putting more might and saying, okay, we're putting more in your backyard. You're going to come to the table? We're not sure. Okay, we're putting even more now. You're going to come to the table? He's given them so many chances. So if it comes down to where he feels like there's military action, I have no doubt he feels like he's doing it because he has no other choice, and he has thoroughly exhausted any sort of discussion points, thoroughly exhausted it. And that's why, I applaud his policy of saying, let's try every measure first, every single one. And I believe he's done it. He's gone above and beyond. And many other presidents, first of all, we've had some that have totally turned a blind eye or sent pallets of cash. And then we've had others that have been so aggressive on the other end. And I think President Trump clearly has been measured. Joaquin, thanks so much. We're going to continue more after the break. Everybody, 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And coming up on the Rita Cosby Show, we'll continue talking about Iran, Nancy Guthrie with these new developments, and also Zohran Mandani saying he knows of a way to cut some money in the New York City budget. He'll cut some NYPD officers, maybe about 5,000 hires. You have got to be kidding me. Let's go to Eduardo in Tampa, line 4. Go ahead, Eduardo.
Yeah, Rita. Yeah, I thought this is the country that they should have made a move on back around 9/11 instead of Iraq. We obviously have the 1983 Marine Barracks. We have the Argentinian Israeli embassy. I mean, and they're even in Venezuela. So this is long overdue, and we're going to have to be extra careful, not only over there, but also here in the U.S. We'll need to be on our extra guard.
Great points. And by the way, they're already calling for a pullout of U.S. troops in Syria. telling also citizens to get out of the region. You're right, because you have to be preemptive, thinking what could come next.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.